just your own magic or helping others.
Go back to Sankey's until I'd finished uni, so I didn't go to any of those stuff during my time at uni. And then the first year of Warehouse Project was my last year of uni, because I remember flying outside Printworks and everyone was going to Boddington's,
Right.
and I was thinking, what is this place? Didn't know much about it. And my mate worked at Next in Stockport, and all the crew there were young, and they all used to go to Sankey's every weekend, so I went with him on someone's leaving day. It was Dirty South that night.
Dirty South, bloody hell, forgot about that.
Yeah, it was class.
Electro, was it Electro days? Was big.
And it was a disco electronica night.
Mike, he's coming on the podcast.
Right, nice,
we started Drop the Ego, have you heard of it?
No.
Not seen it. So basically, Drop the Ego, me, Paul Coleman, Tracy and Rachel Coleman. Paul and Rachel's from the Clukie family. So we started this foundation basically, because we touched upon it before, mental health with your certain artists. Is to provide a platform and support for DJs, people involved in the electronic music scene that suffer from anxiety, depression and substance abuse as well. And it's obviously all started from our past experiences, because you know yourself, I used to play around Sankey's, and I was actually BCM World Tour resident as well. You know, that playing with Danny Howard and Calvin Harris. I was doing Sankey's at the same time in Clukie. Well, I went through a lot of struggles and I didn't tell nobody. I just struggled on my own.
I think
with anxiety,
that was
depression.
kind of what it was like then, though. You know, people didn't have anyone to talk to, and it wasn't like it wasn't talked about much. Whereas now, you know, there's so many places you can go and get help and stuff. And you know, people
see it as a bit of a weakness.
Yeah.
But so that's what we've set up.
Right,
so back to OD Music, Mike and Sean, Mike's going to be on. But Kal, so I've been really excited to get you on the 10th episode, the big show. So you started Underground Artists DJ Agency, 2011. First started off as a blog, which progressed to an agency and then just grew very fast. Your roster's big with some great artists. Dale Howard, Martin.
Majestic, Martin Aiken.
Not Ilkin, Aiken. And Dave Seaman as well. Old school. Have you been to see Dave? I think
I've seen him at some point in the 20 odd years but I can't remember.
So from that agency, you look after Jack Morris as well, who I believe is the next wave of the new producers coming through, the new wave of young producers. And we touched up on Jack's episode about the agency, and just talk me through the agency. How does it run? Because you said before you disagreed with myself and Jack that the agency should come to you, because my understanding of an agency, because it came from experience when I was playing Sankey's and all these gigs, I was like, I want to be on an agency. I was like, I don't know what to do. It's like no one came to me, so I was like, and then I thought was agencies come to you when you get big. So tell me.
Don't get me wrong, that is what happens, but I'd probably say 50% of my agency acts have come to me. And said, sent me an email, would you be interested in representing me? Sent me some music, maybe information on past gigs, what upcoming releases they've got, what previous releases they've got. And, sometimes things stand out. I probably get, on average, one email a day of someone wanting to join the agency, whether it's a management company contacting me or whether it's the artist themselves. I had one this morning that I replied to before I came here.
Can you say who that is? No.
I can't remember who it was, to be honest, but I'm too busy at the moment, so it's quite rare that I would even click the links to look at the artists at the moment, because I'm so busy and the roster's smashing it, really busy with gigs, making good money, so I've not got any need to be adding people at the moment.
So talk me through the process of how do you pick or how do you decide to take on an artist. So two parts to that. So if someone comes to you, how would you make the decision? What's the thought process on taking that person on, and what's the process of you going out scouting?
Yeah,
for
so
talent?
it's the music first and foremost. So you know, if someone was to send me music and I listen to it and I'm like, wow, this is really good.
Right.
You know, it depends how much there is, and if there's a lot of it and it's all really good, then it's even more positive. If there's only a couple of tracks, I might ask to listen, see if they've got any more that I can listen to.
Right.
But yeah, first and foremost, that is the main thing for
Music.
me. You know, how good I think the music is, and you know, I can't always get it right. I've been wrong a couple of times, but you know, a lot of the time I've been right as well.
Yeah.
And you know, where I can picture that music being on, you know, on what labels, or if it's already signed, you know, finding out that people have got releases coming on big labels, Fisher's label, Catch and Release, Hot Creations, Repopulate Mars, Defected, Two Unreal, labels like these that, you know, are great for an artist's career.
Right.
But I'll speak to my artists as well, and often, and you know, have conversations about what music they're playing, because they'll get sent a lot of promos off, not firstly off on promo lists that they're on, but they'll get them direct off artists as well, and they might be playing like loads of music off a certain artist, and then they'll be like raving, you know, why don't you get onto this guy? And a couple of times that's ended up how I've signing acts from my artist mentioning an act and then me listening to the music, and then it's gone from there. But yeah, you know, I still try and go out to the clubs as well a lot, and you know, sometimes you might see the same people behind the decks and stuff, and then you know, you get speaking to them, and you know, it's good to see that they're constantly out networking as well. That's what you want from an artist. You want someone that's switched on and always on it. But after that, I'll always try and have like a Skype call or a Zoom call with them, and check that we get on. Yeah, because I like to speak to my artists as much as possible, and we're WhatsApping, we're on the phone all the time. And yesterday was a nightmare day because I was on the phone to like 5 of them yesterday for like half an hour each. So you know, obviously that cuts into my time working, but you know, it's good to keep chatting to them and find out what they're working on, and any news that they haven't let me know or the manager hasn't let me know. But yeah, I think that's it really. That's how I sign acts.
So you started in 2011. So tell me how it grew from being a blog to where it is today to a well-sought-out agency.
Well, yeah, so yeah, we started this blog interviewing acts from I was booking at a night that I ran with Danny and Taz from System 2, or used to be H2.
The Sankey's residents, official residents.
Yeah, they were, and yes, I made this blog, putting interviews on there, and then I think we did, someone messaged saying, can I do a mix for you? And then we did, we let him do a mix, and then someone else did a mix, and then I ended up signing that act. And before that, Danny and Ted said, why don't you start an agency? So I added the agency onto it, not really knowing what an agent did, or you know, not having any qualifications around that. I didn't do music management or anything like that at uni. I was an accountant actually.
So what did you do when you took them on? What was the
I just signed Manchester acts to start with, and you know, it was just kind of like a hobby, a side thing, and I at the time wasn't really expecting it to go anywhere, and but then off the back of these podcasts, we started getting some international acts, and then they started releasing music on good labels, and then gigs started coming in pretty quickly. So then I had to very quickly learn what I was supposed to do, and at the time, like, you know, some of the artists were going to gigs and there was no itinerary or anything, and so they were getting there and just hoping someone was there at the airport to pick them up. They didn't have any information, and
riders and all that.
None of that. And I think they had a rider because I knew about that from booking acts. Things just started going really quick, and then another agency tried to buy 50% of the agency after a couple of years, and then
Are you allowed to say who it is?
No, probably not going to say.
But a big agency,
a multi-million-pound agency. Yeah, they. I was working as an accountant still for 2.5 years, and then that made me think, wow, you know, if they see potential, then I need to put everything into it. So I quit my job and I've done it full time since then. But yeah, it's just been a case of we've done so well that a lot of acts have noticed that and come to us. And I think because the way I work is my experience of it. A lot of agents get a bad name, and I'll often go on Facebook and people will be slagging agents off. And
I could name a few, but
but you know, I had that same experience from when we booked talent, and I didn't want to be that sort of agent, so I always made sure that I'm pretty easygoing, and you know, don't be the odd person that doesn't like me, and it tends to be because there's been an argument, but it's because of, you know, something most likely that they've done. That, you know,
you get bad promoters as well.
Yeah, so you know, I've had to come down hard on them because I'm easygoing, but I'm not a soft touch either. You know, you can't mess around and make it.
So tell me about Jack Morris. So he's one of your new ones coming through.
Yeah.
So where did you?
He's one of the new ones coming through. Yeah. So that happened through James Barlow from Solado. Yeah. So I used to work with Solado. I was their first agent, and unfortunately they moved along. But it's like football. You know, you move to different teams. Acts come and go. So you know, I've had big acts join. I've had big acts leave, and
they might come back. And
so Jack was in a duo with a guy called Alf Mandalo, who I also still look after. So, but they've gone their separate ways now. But James was saying, like, you need to get on these guys. You know, they're making mint music and stuff. So then I was like, right, send some over, and then I got a playlist with about 60 to 80 tracks in it. And I remember driving to their house to go and have a meeting with them, listening to them, and like, every track was like a banger, and it was so straight away, you know, it had me interested because of that. And then they had the backing of James as well, which was another great thing. And they were just young and passionate, which you know, I'm big on. And so many people say they want this, they want to be a DJ and stuff, but they're not willing to put the work in, or they think they're putting the work in, but they're not doing half the stuff that
not sacrificing
what they should be. Exactly. So that's how that came about, and I signed them. But yeah, like I said, they've gone separate ways now, but you know, they're both doing great things, making good music. So you know, that's why I'm still working with Jack, and you know, he's got a release 8th of April coming on Repopulate Mars, which you know, one of the top. In fact, it's the number one label on Beatport at the moment over the last 12 months.
So
you know, it's a great label to be on, and it's released on Sink or Swim. Got something coming up on Stashed. He's been on Street Tracks.
Which the labeling, correcting the labeling.
It's a Dutch label. Yeah,
the Sink or Swim,
not an American label.
Not an American label. Yeah. So what do you do to like to push the artists forward? How do you manage that? Social media, or you know, speak to the guys personally?
So I mean, I'll speak to them all personally and tell them like my thoughts on things, what they're doing, and you know, occasionally an act might post something on social media that I don't think they should post. I mean, I'm really big on not trying to get involved in anything where, you know, there might be beef around a certain artist at the moment. I just think it's better not to like the post, to comment on it, just leave it, because even if you might agree, there'll be plenty of other people that are for the other side, and I don't want them to alienate those people.
Which could be a promoter.
Yeah, it could be, yeah. So, you know, there's been times where I've had to like ring an act and say, you know, I think you should delete that. And, you know, you have to be constantly careful about what you post, and, you know, with everything at the moment, you know, how you just have to be really careful not to offend people. But yeah, you know, I'll be pushing them to make music and stuff, and constantly try and get them in the studio, and you know, I'll say try and get them out on nights out as well. And often acts will message me saying, "Oh, can you sort guest list there?" And I'm always happy to try and sort guest list from the acts where I can, and because I think they should be going out and networking with people and promoters. But
he shares the studio with me, you know. For the past couple of months now, and because he said when he started, his inspiration and creativity shot up being in here. But it's a great room. We're surrounded by a lot of great people as well. You got AJ, Chris Du next door, Calvin Clark. You got Mason Collective downstairs. And loads of people in this building. Then you got.
Used to work with AJ as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, at the start. Yeah.
Yeah, he's. I think he's in.
He's smashing
he's in
it.
Miami.
Yeah.
He plays
some
a lot in America.
Yeah, he makes some amazing music. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in there, shares it with Calvin.
Yeah.
So we see AJ a lot. But yeah, he's really big in America.
Yeah.
He's just done Richie Ahmed, last weekend.
Yeah,
Joshua Brooks.
Brooks. Yeah, I was going to go, but then didn't last minute. Yeah.
Apparently it was rammed, absolutely rammed.
I think pretty much everything is rammed in there now. Like I said, walking up here, for me, it's the best small club in the UK. And
oh, definitely.
You know, we were in there for Ben Clock, weren't we, together?
Yeah.
And you know that, it's a big statement this, but that was the best night out I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, Ben Clock, Joshua Brooks.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. But all the staff were there as well. You know, Brian and George who own the venue and stuff.
Yeah.
And they were in there and they were having it off. And you know.
Yeah.
It's not often you see a crowd like that either, and just like from start to finish, like it was going
just
off
slamming.
Yeah.
Do you know what I find quite funny? I don't know if you agree. Techno crowd and house crowd never really sort of gelled.
Yeah, no.
Generally, I'm talking general. Bet some people, but generally, because techno just say 10. 20 years ago in Manchester, it was quite stuck up, really. Chin stroke, as they used to call it.
Yeah, I think it still is.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think there's as many techno events, definitely in Manchester, as there used to be.
No, definitely not.
But you know, stuff comes and goes in waves as well. You know.
Yeah.
The sounds are changing all the time. What's popular, and you know, even within techno or tech house or house, you know, there might be a certain sound within that genre that's big, and then someone will come along and completely change the game, and then people will start to move more towards that sound.
Yeah. What sound do you think is the next sound? Because me personally, I think it's going through like the start, if not it's already started, for a bit of a change. From your, I think it's getting a bit more. Camel Fat sound is getting bigger and bigger with the pads and the synths.
Yeah, it is. More melodic. It's coming through a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I personally think Deep House is making a bit of a comeback.
Right, interesting. Okay.
You know, that it was when I started the agency, that was massive around that time, so like 11 years ago. But I do think it's coming back, and we're starting to see some like Deep House tracks in the like UK top 40 pop charts and stuff.
There's an act, Ways and Odyssey.
Ways and Odyssey. Yeah, it's just one now. They've split up as well, so it's just Ways. Yeah, but that's who runs Street Tracks that Jack's released on.
Mate, that track. Oh, what's it called? Oh, it's absolutely amazing. It is just basically funky house.
Right. Yeah.
Like to this day.
Yeah, they've made some class music. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they could be an example of what you say with Deep House coming back. But I think, I think the genres are splitting into sub-genres now. I mean, look at techno, look at beatport. You go on techno, then it's split into like 2 or 3 different genres.
Yeah, there's hard techno, melodic techno.
Main room techno.
Do
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think same's happening with tech house now.
Most people don't know, but for me, techno is my favourite one.
Is it?
And you think because you know, I look after like on these tech house acts, mainly tech house acts, but you know, I'd rather go to a techno night than anything else. Yeah.
Do you know what?
The energy is like, it's class.
It's you can't compare, can you? That energy in the crowd. Do you know what? It's funny you said that, because when I seen you, that was like, what are you doing here at techno night? But we're the same as well. I used to go to the Orbit in Leeds. It was like the mecca of the Sven Bass first UK residency. Richie Orton. Carl Cox wasn't even playing techno, he was playing house back then. So we come from a techno background as well. I actually did an EP for Intech.
Oh, no way.
I've got the interview with John Rundell to make me a track, and I sent it him, and then he said, on the break, it needs more slam, and it needs another synth. And I remember there's 3 synths in that, and I just got totally lost in it and sold it. But anyway, that's the point. Techno. I was surprised. I was buzzing. You was there. I was like, yes, Carl. But you were just like, I was like, yes. But it's good as well because the crowd was totally different.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. That's what I mean. Everything about that night. But I mean, you know, hats off to George and Brian, what they've done with Joshua Brooks is incredible. You know, they've obviously spent a good chunk of cash doing it up, but it needed it, and you know, moving the DJ booth back to where it used to be rather than in the corner. I never understood moving it in the corner there. But the sound system in there, you know, just everything they've done with it is, you know, even upstairs in the bar, and it just all works. Did you know, great food there as well.
We I've had a couple of burgers and the Sunday roast when they used to do them. But when I was down there at that Ben Clock night, it felt like, to me, it felt like a cross between Spectrum and Sankey's in one.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, and I think part of the lights in there is that, you know, in the ceiling. Yeah. That gives it that Spectrum feel, I think, as well. But then it's like an underground basement, like the basement in Sankey's. But I mean, you know, obviously miss Sankey's. You know, there was no place like Sankey's for me, and you know, I would go there on a Friday and Saturday religiously for a year before I even really understood the music, and then, you know,
that's where it all started.
I was there pretty much every weekend for years.
Sankey's Soap, you went to it before the refurb as well. You want to see the Miggs podcast? You know Miggs? Yeah, because he's been with Sankey's since right through to the beginning.
Yeah, he's been
right
on this, hasn't
he? End. Pardon?
Been on this podcast as well.
Yeah, it was episode 7, I think it was, and then that one's really good.
Jack was 7.
8.
Yeah.
8. Yeah, he gives you a full history of it. Of Sankey's. So with Joshua Brooks, like you said, one of the best clubs, if not the best small club in the country. Yeah. So you've got to get some guys in there. You were saying this year is...
Well, I've got one coming up in there in May.
Right.
Is it May?
Who've you got in?
I can't think if it's May or April now off the top of my head. It's Glazius playing.
Right.
A Fuego show with Joseph Edmund.
Right.
That's his band, Fuego. And then we're speaking about 2 other acts at the moment, but they wouldn't be the main headliner on the night because, like I said, they're pretty much fully booked now until November. For headliners.
So you're looking into from November onwards.
And then after that, and the guys, JBM Music, they do loads of festivals and stuff as well. So we're speaking about next summer already. Because
I was with Brian the other week, and he was showing me like the plans of the festivals that they've got. I was quite surprised, like what stuff they actually do as well, because it's totally outside.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a reggae thing at Gorilla this weekend.
Right.
Because they do a reggae festival and stuff, so that helps promote the festival. But you know, they do
all sorts,
everything. Everything. Yeah, they had like Craig David play at Southern Sunset Festival, and I think they've got him again this year for a festival. I don't know if it's been announced, so I don't know if I can say what festival. I think it has been.
Spoiler.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it has. So it's Wild Out Festival. I think they've got Craig David for again this year. But I've worked with them for a long time, especially George, and just hard-working guys that deserve the success. You know, really switched on,
smashing it.
Yeah.
So with the agency, Cal, back to your agency, where's the agency currently at and what you're up to now? You touched upon about maybe just having a break with bringing new ones on, or...
Yeah, I mean, I always kind of have a list of acts that I'm watching, and there's a couple on my radar at the moment.
Can you name any?
I could do, but I'm not.
Right, okay. Tell me later.
Because if I name them, they're going to be straight on my case to me. But
they'll be watching now. Say my name.
Yeah, so you know, I've had a couple of calls recently. Like I said, that I'm not really looking into it, but then a couple of people have like, well, can we have a call anyway? And then I've had the call, and they've ended up impressing me and stuff. Right. You know, with what they've got coming and things. But so there's no plans to take anyone at the moment, but.
You're so
you know, I would like to look at again getting staff and things, but you know, I used to have an office before, and I used to have someone that worked for me as well. But he worked in London, and I was there, and it worked great. But I just work from home now, and it's easy for me. You know, I've converted the loft in my house into an office space, and you know, I just go up there and get work done. And a lot of people get distracted working at home and can't do it. But you know, I've done it for so long now that that's what I like to do. So then I'm thinking, you know, when's the right point for taking staff on? But it's finding like the perfect person as well, because like I know exactly what I want in a person to work for me. And
what do you look for?
And it's someone that is just like really passionate about the music and hard working and like really wanting to learn and ask questions, or not afraid to ask questions, and but like young, still keen on going out. You know, talent scouting as well, like looking to say, you know, I've seen this act, I think, you know, we should look at bringing them on, but open to having like a conversation about it as well. And but yeah, I think I'm not like actively looking for that person, and I think when the time's right, that person's going to present themselves to me, and you know, it's going to be like organic and natural that I find that person. You know, the last guy that worked for me, you know, we were in touch because he worked for a night in London that had been booking some of my acts, and that's how we met. And then we were in Ibiza at the same time. That was when I looked after Christoph, and Defected were doing a night at Boom, which isn't going anymore. And yeah, he was in there, and we got chatting and stuff. And then, you know, about a month later, I ended up offering him a job. And it worked well. He came up, and I think he stayed with me for a few days, and we did some initial training, and I did a lot of stuff via Skype, and he worked very, very similar to the way that I work, so it worked well.
Right.
I think sometimes finding someone that has already been in the industry might have bad habits that.
Like what?
Just like I said before, like certain things about agents people don't like, and you know, and it might be rude to people, might be slow at replying. I mean, that's a huge thing for me, like the speed of my replies to people. I try to get back to everyone within an hour. Obviously there's exceptions, you know, I might be in bed, I might be on an aeroplane, I could be in the gym, swimming pool, you know, anything like that. I mean, even now I'm stressing a little bit because I've not checked my phone for however long we've been going for now. So I like people to be getting back to people as quick as possible. And you know, a couple of times it's come back to bite me in the sense that I've not replied to someone in an hour or something, and like people are like messaging me, like sending me 3 emails saying like, can you get back to me please? I'm like, God, it's only been an hour, give me a break. But that is in the plans for the future, but there's no immediate rush for it. You know, the business is going really well at the moment. I'm happy with it, happy with the current roster.
Especially coming out of COVID, because from everyone in industry, nothing to earning, nothing, no support.
So I didn't get, you know, hardly any support. A lot of the government grants and things, I thought I qualified, but because I don't rent business premises, it meant that I didn't qualify.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of the grants I didn't get, and, you know, even like more recently they announced like local council ones, and I applied to Wigan Council for that, and then it's sort of said that you have to have a business address in the Wigan Borough, which I do, which is my house, but because it's not, because it's a residential address, it didn't qualify me. But you know, I worked at Amazon in the warehouse, delivered food for Just Eat. I worked as a fire marshal. You know, my life literally stopped. So I had to do what I had to do to pay the bills, and a lot of people don't know that I did that, and you know how tough it was. But you know, when you've got a family, you know, you've got no choice. I had to go out there and get work, and I knew it wouldn't be forever. It was longer than I expected, but you know, one of my artists as well, Iglesias, he did production masterclasses, and he set up a website, Woodland Studio, and on there he advertised like a 1-to-1 class with me. So that helped as well, because you know, people would pay for that for like an hour of my time and would have a Zoom call, and I've done it with people in you know, people in America, Australia, you know, mainly UK, but you know, there's people from all over. I think someone in Argentina.
My mate went down to London and did the Iglesias one-to-one course.
Oh yeah,
with
nice.
him.
Yeah,
It was Josh. Yeah, went down. He came back with one of his projects. I was like, oh, let's have a look at it.
but yeah, and we just kept that. It was so successful that we just kept it running. So you know that's still available to producers and DJs. It's kind of one-to-one career advice, and it is a lot about you know, how to get signed on an agency, how to get a manager, you know, how the correct way to send demos out and stuff like that. And you know, it is for like people right at the start of the career. A lot of people that booked on it were people that have never released any music, and that's like the best time to talk to them, because you know, you can say certain things that maybe you shouldn't do this, maybe you shouldn't do that, and
it's fucking great, because this is like what I wanted 15 years ago. Exactly what you're saying. So it's definitely a great service.
At the end of the day, a lot of it is my personal opinion based on my experience, what I think people should be doing. And there might be certain aspects of it that people disagree with, but you know, I try and back everything up with examples of where it's worked for other acts that I work with, and how they went about doing a certain thing. And I did end up actually signing an act off the back of one of those calls, a guy called Fred Simmons, who's one of my new like up and comers that to keep an eye out on.
Fred Simmons.
Fred Simmons, yeah. So he booked a call with me, and it went really well, but I was kind of impressed with a few things he was doing as well. Like he was going out and getting his own artwork made for, like he put like a free track out on SoundCloud, but instead of just putting it out, he'd go and spend the time to get proper artwork made for it and things. And his socials just looked really great, and was making good music as well. And then he booked a second call with me, and you know, I quite liked how he went about it. And he was like, you know, he was telling me all the things that he'd done off from our last call and that I'd suggested that he do, and then he was like trying to get more out of me and saying, what do you think my next steps are now? And then he entered the Elm Row up and coming talent competition, and I think there was, well, I know there was thousands and thousands, I don't know the exact number, but a good few thousand applied. I'm sure it was something like 7,000.
Won't surprise me.
But he got down to the final 10 in that. And then, unfortunately, wasn't one of the two winners.
But still,
you know,
to get from thousands to thousands is
massive. Yeah. So you know, it shows that you know there is his talent there.
Something there.
Just booked him at a festival this summer.
Which one?
Electric Woodlands in Hertfordshire.
Okay. So for the young DJs that's watching this and the ones that are trying to break into industry, I mean, you don't have to go deep into it, but briefly, what advice would you give to them?
There's loads, you know, as I've touched on a few points during this chat, networking is a big one for me.
So networking, going out there.
Yeah, but not just going out to clubs and things, you know, trying to speak to promoters, contacting them, emailing them, but looking at going to events as well. I mean, I say all the time that ADE for me is the best week of the year. You know, I think that, you know, if you're just going to go out there and go to the parties, it's not the same. You should spend that money and buy a pass, go to the talks, and quite often at the talks you can go up to them at the end. If you don't want to raise your hand and ask a question, you can go up to them at the end and ask in private to them. You know, maybe you could give them a USB of your music, and that could be like a manager, an agent, a DJ, a club promoter, a press agent. All sorts of people are there. And you know, if you know a DJ trying to get backstage at ADE, you know, backstage there is incredible. You know, I was once at an event at ADE backstage on my own, and I noticed another guy on his own. I just went over to talk to him, and it turns out he worked for Beatport. Got his contact details and stuff, and at the time I was running my label, which we've kind of put on hold since lockdown started. And we started to get features all the time on Beatport then because you know, I'd made contact with this guy.
Just going over to one guy.
But you know, doing stuff like that, you know, there's obviously other conferences that, you know, wouldn't cost you as much if you live in the UK. There's things like Brighton Music Conference. If you live in America, there's Miami Music Week. There's all sorts of new things popping up all the time as well. So, you know, networking's a big one, but then it's a lot about making sure you're spending time to work on your music. And, you know, a lot of these people, they work full-time jobs, and it's difficult to work all through the day, but then be in the studio. You're like, your mind's tired, it's not as productive. So
just discussing this,
you know, it's important that at the weekends you've then got to make some sacrifices. You might have a girlfriend, or you know, and a boyfriend, and you know, you might have to tell your partner that you know, you can't see them that weekend because you need to spend time in the studio and
making some tracks in the studio.
But you know, it's important that you're with someone that's understanding, that supports your career as well. And you know, I've worked with acts in the past that, you know, I've worked with difficult partners, and they've not understood it, and when they started going away touring, it's broke down and not worked.
It's definitely, you're gonna sacrifice, man. Time and energy as well. It's what's that saying? You get out what you put in. And one important thing that you touched upon as well. Obviously, we can't say no names, but when you start doing well, never let your foot off the gas pedal, because as you said, some artists have done well, and then just got a bit too big for the boots. But things change. The club has changed. The music changes. That track that might have been big last year, but if you're not releasing consistently, they can fall behind.
I'm pretty big on releasing music consistently. And you know, you'll look at certain like really big acts, and you'll see that they release music quite a lot. I mean, Maceo Plex is a name that comes to mind. He's massive, but he still releases, you know, quite a fair bit of music. And obviously Michael Bibby's smashing it at the moment. He's like a huge name at the moment, and you know, but he's still putting music out regularly, and I think that's really important, because you know, there's new people coming into the industry all the time, and into the scene, new DJs, new promoters, and you know, they might not have as much knowledge about what's happened in the past, you know, so you know, they're all about what's happening now. And you know, promoters like it as well, and they like to know what releases an act has coming up to their gig that could potentially like help sell their night better.
Well, one thing I want your opinion on, right? Ghost producers. What's your take on ghost?
I have to admit, I've kind of changed my stance on this quite a lot over the years. I was really against it, and I'm not now. But yeah, I was really against it just because I just thought it was kind of cheating. I guess kind of it is a little bit still. But, you know, you're booking acts to DJ in a club and stuff, and before it was enough to get booked if you were a good DJ, and now it's not. You know, you have to be a good producer as well. You have to be good on your socials, all sorts of extra things now. But, you know, I'd still rather my acts make their own music, but when I'm going out to look for an act, it is like a massive plus for me if they're making their own music. And you know, I've just recently signed an act, Hannah Lang, and
I saw that on the website. But where did you find Hannah?
Salado again.
Really?
It wasn't a suggestion from Salado, but it was because she's played their higher part in Croatia the last 2 years. So you know, so I'd noticed her from that, and then she released a track called The Records on Solar, which was massive as well, and the guys were hammering it out. So we'd I've been watching her for probably about a year, and then spoke to her towards the end of last year, and then that only happened in about 4 or 5 weeks ago maybe. But she has got some massive bookings coming as well, some really big festivals. Like, I can't announce them because they've not been announced, and I don't know when this is going out. You know, it might be announced by then, but there's massive Ibiza show in, you know, venue loads of people want to play. some great festivals. But yeah.
Where's she based? Okay.
She's based in Dundee in Scotland.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Hannah Lang.
Yeah, definitely.
Hannah Lang.
A name to watch out for, yeah. She's got a track coming out on Patrick Topping's label, Trick, this month, yeah.
Right.
And then she's got something on Jax Jones' label coming as well.
Right, it's got big releases lined up already. We've got someone coming in. I think she's going to make some waves soon. Oh, I can't remember her name. It's we're doing a photo shoot for do you know Michael Sainthouse?
Yeah.
Saint,
yeah.
It's his missus.
Right, yeah.
Oh, I can't. She's new on the scene. I can't remember her name. But she's coming in.
Right, okay, yeah.
In a bit. So I'll.
But anyway, to go back to the ghost producing thing, you know, a lot of my acts as well do it for other acts and stuff, and you know, it's a way for them to make extra money and stuff. And you know, I wouldn't say like I'm a huge fan of it, but you know, it doesn't bother me anymore.
Like you used to.
Yeah. I used to like really hate to know that like certain acts use other people to do it, but it's rife in the industry. There's like so many like huge names,
loads, innit?
Yeah,
big names,
huge names that do it, and you know, there's a lot as well that don't necessarily work with a ghost producer, but they'll work with an engineer. So you know, they might make a track and then they'll go and sit down with an engineer and they'll help put in extra little bits and stuff, or they'll just sit in with an engineer from the start and they'll say what they want and the engineer will like make it for them, but it's their idea still. And but you know,
it takes a lot of talent that sitting down with someone and trying to get their idea out of their head and then get it, and then then actually producing it. It takes talent that. So you know, Ghost Productions, I was the same as well. I hated it. It's just like, oh, it's not even his track. But now it's definitely much more accepted, especially when you find out who's.
Well, you do it for a load of artists, don't you?
Yeah,
you must make some alright money off that.
I've just done 7 tracks for someone in London. 7 tracks. Yes, for a fucking discount. But yeah, still doing it. But it's mad because. When I was doing it, I was making all different styles. I was making techno, tech house, and deep house. They were the predominant ones. And then it just, I don't know if any other ghost producers were the same, but I couldn't make my own music. So just say you came to me, say I want deep house track. Okay, where's your reference track? Bang! I want something similar to that. Right? Okay, I'll make that. Then when I'll sit down to make my own style, which is more chuggy, slamming tech house. I can't do it because I'm making.
It does happen. It happens with a lot of people because you know, people are telling me all the time that.
Because like when the riffs I'm making, the patterns and whatever, I'm trying to make my sound, but I'm actually making that sound because I've just done an EP for someone there, and then I just got to a point where I was like, fuck it, I'm just not making any music. And then lockdown happened, and then I started producing my own stuff, and then it took me months to retune my ears. But the stuff I'm selling for people now. Just like deep house and this and that. I actually did a big commercial track, didn't I? Massive commercial track. I think the original's got like 20 odd million listens, and I remixed that. But
left on the battery.
Right. But anyway, Ghost Productions is much more accepted. And it's well, I'm a fucking ghost producer. Slagging ghost producers off in Karma, and I'm there doing it. But Carl, it's been amazing to catch up with you. We've known each other since, well, not properly, but I've known you since school. That's school, I remember I used to see you in your uniform. And then seeing to where you're at now, I love it. I love the stories, especially when you've known someone.
You see you in Barbarella's in Lee.
Oh, Barbarella's. Lee, if you don't know what Lee is, it's just a little shit backwards. That's
what I love.
Alright. It's alright. No, you know what I mean. But no, it's you live in a nice part of Lee.
Yeah, I do,
but yeah, so do you want to let everyone know where to find the agency or more information about yourself?
Yes, so you can find me pretty much everywhere by searching Underground Kal. So it's like Instagram /Underground Kal, and then the agency is /Underground Artists Agency.
Cool.
But then you'll a simple Google search should bring everything up: SoundCloud, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So
cool. Yeah. And we'll put all the links in the description below. And Kal, we'll definitely have you on again. Definitely, maybe we'll get a few artists on as well and do like a trio or something. But cool.
Nice one, mate. Thank you.
Boom.
Yeah.